Neno hili si hivyo, mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome back to our channel once again. President William Ruto and Oburu Odinga today chaired joint parliamentary group meeting of ODM party and UDA party. And while following the event very closely on Azimio TV, I came across a post by Edwin Sifuna. It actually popped up on my Facebook feed. I then decided to go through the comments in that post. What I saw shocked me. Allow me to read this post for you because it's going to form the basis of this analysis. It's actually what motivated me to talk about the mistakes which Edwin Sifuna and his team are committing, and why, if they want change, they will have to perish. Let me read for you what Edwin Sifuna posted. Baba, they have woken up today to mock your legacy while swearing in your name. You do not have to be an English professor to understand what Baba wanted. It is there in black and white. Progress reports to him every 2 months and a final report to the public last Saturday. Now they are putting words in a dead man's mouth. Give us signal, Jacom. That is what Edwin Sifuna posted. By the time of doing this video, it has received 14,000 likes and 109 shares. When we talk of 14,000 likes and we talk of 109 shares, and we're talking of 3,200 comments, it means that's huge. That's a video which has, it means that's a post that has exploded. But going through the comments, Kenyans are saying something. Kenyans are communicating with Edwin Sifuna. Kenyans are telling Edwin Sifuna something which he must pause and listen to. Because if you want to do that, I can assure you, Edwin Sifuna so far has played his politics well. Kenyans are demanding for him to do certain things, and Kenyans have high hopes in him. He's going to disappoint them. Before I do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Edwin Sifuna and his team, particularly Edwin Sifuna and Babu Owino, have played their politics perfectly well up to this stage. But of late, they've been committing a mistake. And I want to talk about some of those mistakes. Because if I don't talk about them, I'm sure nobody else will talk about them. Most people would just want to paint a rosy picture of what is happening. These are some of the mistakes which Edwin Sifuna and the team are making, and they'll have to correct. If they want to correct, I can assure you, they will have to go home. The first mistake is the war with ODM party. It's a known fact that Edwin Sifuna is the SG of ODM party. As at now, ODM party have kicked him out of the party. There's nothing he can do about that. You may want to say it in a different language, but the honest truth, if you're truth to yourself, is that Edwin Sifuna is no longer the ODM Secretary General. They've called for the NDC. Edwin Sifuna and James Orengo have said they're not going to go for that NDC, which means the NDC will ratify the decision to remove Edwin Sifuna. But why is staging a war with ODM party counterproductive for them? Two main reasons. Number one, William Ruto himself wants a divided ODM party. That's something which these guys need to understand. Because a strong ODM party would make a lot of demands for William Ruto. A strong ODM party might actually decide to front a presidential candidate. So if ODM is weak, the way it is today, that's good news for William Ruto. For example, if ODM party were to say, let us unite, let us face our challenges together, then maybe face 2027 as a team. Along the way, they might figure out that William Ruto is very unpopular, and therefore the only thing for them to do is to offer one of them as a presidential candidate. That would be very bad for Ruto. So as much as Edwin Sifuna is fighting Oburu, as much as he's fighting UNET, that war, the biggest beneficiary is none other than President William Samoei Arap Ruto. And the earlier these guys realize this, the better. So William Ruto wants a divided ODM rather than a united. A united ODM, a strong ODM, is not good for William Ruto, politically speaking. So their continued fight with Oburu is actually to the advantage of President Ruto. Number two, ODM party will not produce a presidential candidate. That's a fact. And if ODM party will not produce a presidential candidate, I mean, what is Edwin Sifuna still doing in ODM party? The best thing he can do is to leave ODM party, for me, form their own political party, and then start selling that party. Because they will do all these things. They'll become very popular. If they stick with ODM party, if they continue fighting within ODM party, at the end of the day, they'll come back to the ODM, and ODM will push for them to be given direct tickets, and then Edwin Sifuna will just become a senator. Babu Owino will remain the member of parliament for Embakasi. So if I were Edwin Sifuna, instead of spending a lot of time fighting in ODM party, I would just leave, form my own political party, then use the goodwill I have today to advance the objectives which I think he can actually achieve. Edwin Sifuna currently is the biggest political player from the Luhya nation. If you talk to anybody, if you talk with anybody from the Luhya nation, they will tell you that Edwin Sifuna is now the kingpin. So there's no need for Edwin Sifuna to continue fighting for ODM party, because that's a lost battle. And if you go through those comments, that's exactly what these guys are telling him. As a matter of fact, it's no longer fashionable to fight over ODM party, because most people believe it's dead, and most people believe these guys are wasting their time. That's number one. Number two, and this is something I keep on saying, these guys need to focus on raising finance, because 2027 presidential elections is going to be the most expensive general election in the history of our country. Currently, Edwin Sifuna and the team embarked on some political activities across the country. But do you know what happened? And do you know what the talk in the streets are? Forget about what you read online. Most people believe that President Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, who was funding these activities, was prevailed upon to go slow. His team told him, boss, you are going too fast. So he decided to go slow. And that's why these guys could not manage to fund their subsequent political activities. They struggled with the one in Ukambani, for those who realized. The truth is, currently they enjoy goodwill, both online and offline. And if they keep on making mistakes, Kenyans will get tired of them. Kenyans will not see them as serious. So after forming his party, Edwin Sifuna must now embark on raising funds. How can he raise funds? Organize trips abroad. Kenyans in the diaspora can easily raise a lot of money for Edwin Sifuna and this team. There are so many people who are willing to put their money. But how can they put their money in this thing when they don't know where it's headed, where it's going to? So that's the second mistake, failing to raise money. They need to raise the money. Number three, and I don't know, probably it's only me who became unpopular for saying that this team was headed nowhere. This, what is called Kenyan hype, chocha. And I'm glad Edwin Sifuna is aware of Ochocho. There is something I keep on saying on this platform, that Kenyans online can really cheat you. And there is the attention span of Kenyans, very short. Kenyans easily jump onto the next thing. If you are popular today, tomorrow you might not. And I like giving example. For example, in Kisumu here, if a new joint is open, everybody will troop to that joint. Then after some time, they'll start going back to where they came from. That's exactly what is happening in Kenya. Kenyans hyped Maraga for no reason. David Maraga was just chilling. Then Gen Z happened, and Maraga supported Gen Zs. What happened there? They convinced Maraga that they could actually make him the next president of the Republic of Kenya. What did Maraga do? Maraga then decided to offer his candidature. Today, the same people who tortured Maraga are the same ones putting on those t-shirts of Sisi Ndio Sifuna. Because Sisi Ndio Sifuna is the trend. Most of them are actually doing it for content. The other case is Matiang'i. You remember personally, I was supporting Matiang'i because after the Gen Z, I realized that there was nobody who was serious. And I saw Matiang'i as that serious candidate who would bring change to Kenya. And I also fell for this Kenyan hype. They jumped onto Matiang'i wind. Matiang'i was the main thing. They were taking TikTok videos, everything with Matiang'i. Matiang'i is today nowhere. They jumped now to the current trend. The trend of Sisi Ndio Sifuna. So if Sifuna and the team are banking on the Kenyan hype, then they're making a very big mistake. I just don't know how someone can advise them, but I know the fact is Sifuna is not Matiang'i. Sifuna and Babu are not, for example, David Maraga. These are people who are elected. They have built their own constituencies. They have been in politics for a long time. Sifuna has been the SG for the biggest political party in Kenya for over 8 years. Babu Owino has been elected twice, has served as a student leader for several years. So when it comes to experience, maybe they understand. And that's why Sifuna talked of that torture. But if they are motivated by other things, not torture, then they are good to go. The fourth mistake which they're committing, and maybe someone needs to whisper this to them, big game plan. What is their end game? Sifuna, what is your end game? Because according to ordinary Kenyan, they expect Sifuna to be on the ballot for the presidency. Is Sifuna laying ground for the presidency? We're already in March 2026. Elections are next year. Based on your own judgment, is Sifuna ready? Some people normally give the case of Mwai Kibaki, that Mwai Kibaki was nominated just a few weeks to the elections. But Mwai Kibaki had contested for the presidency on 2 occasions. 1997 and he also contested in 1992 as a presidential candidate, and he was already campaigning. So these guys, do they really know the expectations of Kenyans on them? In fact, the day Sifuna will announce to the Republic that he's not running for the presidency, he will really feel the wrath of Kenyans. Kenyans will descend on him. So which means he must be on the ballot. But what is he doing to be on the ballot? It means he must have a clear game plan. For Babu Owino, the country expects him to be the next governor for Nairobi. What is he doing with that? Because the other day, they were in Makueni. You'd have expected Sifuna to talk about his presidential bid. What did he do? He talked about ODM. He talked about being kicked out of the SG of the party. You would have used that opportunity. Because without a proper game plan, you can clearly tell. And sometimes I like challenging people. I want you to observe. When these guys were in Machakos and Makueni, Babu Owino was very popular. What does that tell you? It tells you only one thing. That the Kamba nation have really embraced Babu Owino fully. For Sifuna, they have not really embraced him fully. Because there's the Kalonzo factor and the 2027 presidential bid. Sifuna is very popular amongst the Kikuyu nation. And that's a fact. Even online here, majority of the Kikuyu nation who voted for Ruto have been looking for a candidate. And that candidate, initially they had hoped that Raila was going to be that candidate. Raila betrayed them in quotes. So they found Raila's son in the name of Sifuna. So they really love Sifuna. So which means Sifuna must come up with a clear agenda, a clear game plan. The end game, what does he want? If you want come out very clearly early enough, I can assure you, Sifuna will just be like another statistics. And importantly, there is something they also want to overlook. It's called tribal arithmetics. Our politics is tribal. The Gen Zs watakuchocha that our politics is not tribal. For Sifuna, I'm glad because I've been conducting a lot of surveys and I've been going, like the other day I went to sites za Ugenya huko ndani where they border the lawyers, and Sifuna's name is coming up as a potential presidential candidate. And one of my friends, kama sasa Ephraim, who come from Busia, has told me that Busia, which has traditionally been ODM stronghold, is currently leaning more towards Edwin Sifuna. And that's important because the fact that it's now leaning more towards Edwin Sifuna, it simply means that Sifuna has captured the imagination of the Luhya nation. So that if elections were held today, Sifuna can bank on the Luhya nation. What about Babu? Currently, if we were to call for election in Nairobi, who would vote for Babu? The first people who would vote for Babu, the Luos. The second group of people who would vote for Babu are the lawyers. The third one are people who just want change. And people who just want change, they're normally very few. And that's the fact. Otherwise, if Kenyans wanted change, I mean, we would not have voted for Uhuru in the second term, we would not have voted for Ruto in the first term. Yeah? But because our politics is tribal, you have to go and consolidate your tribe base. So Sifuna should go to the Luhya nation and consolidate it first. I want to give you a case of how Ruto managed to win the presidency in the last election. William Ruto knew that for him to win, he needed the tribal arithmetics. What Mutai Nguni calls, how do Mutai Nguni calls it, tyranny of numbers. He needed the Kikuyus and he needed the Kalenjins. So for him to get the Kikuyus, it was very easy for William Ruto. He just needed to invoke the anti-Raila Odinga sentiments, the Raila phobia. And William Ruto would go to the mountain. How many times in a week? 5 times in a week. And the other parts of the country only 2 times. Just like you are seeing William Ruto, since he was sworn in, has visited the Luo Nyanza 20 times. Why? Because there's something he understands that for you to win, you must have that tribal backing. So these 2 gentlemen should not be held hostage by the Gen Zs that, you know, we are tribeless. Kenya is a tribal nation and politics begin from there. I don't know what you think this might take. Until next time, this is Lee McQueen. Bye-bye.